All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Turtle Hospital. My name is Megan. I'm going to be with you for the duration of your tour today. We're going to start off in here where I'll talk a little bit about sea turtles, what it is that we do here at the Turtle Hospital. You guys all have an opportunity to see our hospital facilities. Then we'll make our way outside and you can see all the turtles that are currently being cared for here at the Turtle Hospital. Let's get started by just talking a little bit about sea turtles in general. There are actually 7 species of sea turtles that can be found throughout the world, but 5 of those 7 are seen here in the waters around the Florida Keys. So they're the ones that we're going to be focusing on. The other 2 types of sea turtles are the Australian flatback, those you've got to get into the area around Australia to see, and a type of sea turtle called an olive ridley sea turtle. They get kind of close to us but are not typically found here in the waters around Florida or the Florida Keys. What people see the most often in this area are the green sea turtles and the loggerheads. Now, the greens can be seen pretty much throughout the entire year. Even here today on your Turtle Hospital tour, you're going to see more of the green sea turtles than any of our other species. We're currently caring for 56 sea turtles here at the Turtle Hospital. 35 of those are green sea turtles. The loggerheads, the best time to view them is during nesting season. The Keys is a nesting grounds primarily for loggerhead sea turtles, so it actually starts when they begin breeding in March, and then nesting season, which runs May through October. All the loggerheads get a lot closer into shore during that time, and people see them pretty often. Currently at our Turtle Hospital, we are caring for 6 loggerhead sea turtles. We also get the hawksbills. The big draw for them into our area is our coral reef. So your best chance to view a hawksbill is if you're snorkeling or scuba diving, and right now we're caring for 1 little hawksbill here at the Turtle Hospital. You can also see leatherbacks in the Florida Keys, but they are open ocean sea turtles. So if you're lucky enough to spot one, it's because they're just passing through the Keys, moving from one area of open ocean into another. No leatherbacks currently being cared for here at our hospital. And then we also get the Kemp's Ridleys. They're actually named for Richard Kemp, a Florida Keys fisherman. So you definitely find them in this area, but they're critically endangered. So they're very rare sea turtles. It's not too often that people get a chance to view them. Now you guys are in for a little treat today because we're actually caring for 14 Kemp's Ridleys at our Turtle Hospital, which is a lot more than we would typically have. But there's been over 650 Kemp's Ridleys that have stranded up around Cape Cod. Kemp's Ridleys, as well as other types of sea turtles, will travel north in the summer months when the water's warmer up there. But as those waters begin to cool down, they make their way back south into those warmer waters. Sea turtles don't like cold water, and if they're in cold water for too long, their bodies basically begin to shut down. It's what we call getting cold stunned. So the New England Aquarium had been caring for all of these 650 plus sea turtles, but as you guys can imagine, that's a lot of turtles for one facility to care for. So they're sharing the love. They've sent a lot of them to different facilities like ours. We got 30 of those Kemp's Ridleys. We've already been able to release some of them, but we still have 13 here remaining with us, so you'll get to see some of those. Cold stun Kemp's Ridleys from New England today. We also have an adult Kemp's Ridley who's a non-releasable that's here at our facility. Hopefully we'll also have a chance to see her. Now I'll talk a little bit about each of the sea turtles. The greens are the 2nd largest. They grow to be up to 500 pounds. And green sea turtles are primarily vegetarian. They do eat squid and jellyfish, but really the main staple of a green sea turtle's diet is seagrass and algae. That's where they get the name the green sea turtle from. They eat so much seagrass and algae, it turns their fat green, and that's why they're called green sea turtles. The loggerhead sea turtles are known for having very large heads. That's why they're called loggerheads. And they have these large heads due to their diet. They eat hard-shelled invertebrates, so they like things like lobsters. But another one of their favorites are those conchs that we're kind of famous for down here in the Florida Keys. Now loggerheads like to eat the same thing we do, the soft little animal that's living inside of this shell. But to get to it, there is a very thick and very tough shell to get through. And that's not a problem for a loggerhead. That's where the big head comes into play. They can just put these conch shells in their mouth, they bite down, and the pressure of their bite breaks and cracks that shell into little pieces. Then they can eat that little conch there on the inside. This is the skull of a loggerhead sea turtle, and I'm going to flip it around so you guys can see that they have these big open spaces here in the back. It does look like a really good place for the sea turtle's brain to go, but sea turtles don't need that much room for their brains because they kind of have small brains. The brain of a sea turtle is about the size of a grape. It fits right up into that little area in there. So these big open spaces, that's for muscle. It's where they have these very large and powerful muscles that control their jaws and give them the strength to break the conch shells. The bite of an adult loggerhead sea turtle is about 900 pounds of pressure. Conch shells don't stand a chance against those loggerhead sea turtles. Now the hawksbills get their name because they have these little pointy bird-like beaks, and that's for the hawksbill's favorite food, sponges. They use those little bird-like beaks so that they can get in and rip and tear these sponges apart to be able to eat them. But what hawksbills are really well known for is they develop these beautiful patterns on their shell. Unfortunately, it means that hawksbill sea turtles were quite heavily hunted just for their shells. The shells were taken to make jewelry, eyeglasses, hair accessories. Today in the United States, you'll find items that say they're tortoise shell, but they're a plastic that has this kind of a print on them. Those are though the types of items that were originally being made from the actual shells of sea turtles. Now, all the turtles I'm talking about today are endangered species. So in 1973, the United States passed the Endangered Species Act. That made it illegal here in the U.S. to hunt these sea turtles or harm them, harass them in any way. So in that sense, we have protection now for these turtles here in the U.S., but when you travel around the world, there's a lot of places that still eat sea turtle. Sea turtle eggs are harvested and used in cooking, similar to how we use chicken eggs, and the turtles themselves are still used to make a lot of different products. Now the Kemp's Ridleys, these are the smallest of all the sea turtles. They only grow to be about 2 feet in length and around 100 pounds. And the distinguishing feature for these turtles is how lightly colored they are. You can see in these photos they can be almost white. That's because they spend a lot of time living on very lightly colored, sandy, muddy bottoms. So they're lightly colored to blend into their environment. They have a nickname. They're known as ghost turtles because of that light coloration, but also their behavior. They tend to be kind of shy and elusive sea turtles. So saying is that even if you see a Kemp's, you don't see them for very long before they disappear like a ghost, and that's why they got that nickname. Now when we go outside and you guys get to view those 13 Kemp's Ridleys I was talking about that came down here from New England, they are juvenile, so they're actually very dark in color. They're younger, when they're younger they're dark because they're living farther offshore. It's as they get older that they move in and move on to those lightly colored sandy muddy bottoms, and then they get that much lighter coloration. Hopefully when we see our adult Kemp's Ridley today, then you'll get a chance to view one of those very lightly colored Kemp's Ridleys. Our last turtle, leatherbacks. These are the largest of all the sea turtles. These leatherbacks can grow to be up to 2,000 pounds and actually as much as 9 feet in length. Now if you guys look at this shell that's up here on the wall behind me, this is actually only about a 600-pound leatherback. So this is a very small leatherback in comparison to how large these turtles can grow to be. And it's because of their large size that they're open ocean sea turtles. The other very interesting thing about leatherbacks, though, is that they are deep diving sea turtles. These leatherbacks have been recorded going as deep as 4,000 feet underneath the surface of the water, which is an incredibly deep dive for a sea turtle to be able to do. So to do a dive like that, leatherbacks are built differently than the other turtles. The ones I've talked about up to this point have a very hard shell, which their shells are made of bone. You can see here on the underside, it's their backbone and their ribs that form their shells. On the outside of a turtle's shell, they have these little plates here. They're called their scutes, and the scutes are made of keratin, so that's the same protein that makes up our fingernails. A leatherback shell, though, is made of a more cartilage-like material, like our nose and our ears. Then they have a thick leathery skin over the top, and that's where they get the name the leatherback from. But that way, as they do those really deep dives, their shells can bend and flex to the increase of water pressure, as the water pressure at 4,000 feet would just break and crack open the shells of those other sea turtles. So that's just a little bit about the different types of sea turtles. I'm going to talk a lot more about sea turtles throughout the course of your tour today, but I also want an opportunity to talk a little bit about what you're going to be seeing as you are visiting a hospital today. These are turtles that are here with us due to injuries and illnesses. One of the things that'll bring turtles to us is trash or marine debris. So we get turtles that come in due to entanglements, like you see here in this photo. The number one thing we see them entangled in is fishing line. And unfortunately, entanglements can cause sea turtles to lose flippers, especially when it is fishing line. That stuff is so thin and so strong, it gets wrapped up around those flippers and it just keeps working tighter and tighter, cutting in until eventually it takes off the flipper or does so much damage that we have to amputate. Now, sea turtles can actually still survive in the wild if they only have 3 flippers. So, of course, we never want to see a turtle lose a flipper to an entanglement, but at least if they only lose 1 flipper, they are still a releasable sea turtle. Now, another problem that happens due to trash is we get turtles in here because they've eaten the trash that's in their environment. And this can just be a case of mistaken identity. Unfortunately, some of our trash looks like food to a jellyfish, or to a sea turtle. One example of that is a plastic bag. That's what looks like a jellyfish. You can kind of see that. Another problem we see a lot, though, with sea turtles is with balloons. So they release balloons for events, or they just accidentally get let go, but they're going to pop and drop down into the oceans, where, again, you can see how that would look like a squid or a jellyfish. I mean, even something like a cigarette butt can look like a shrimp to a sea turtle. Now, when turtles eat trash, it doesn't just work through their system, come out the other end. It will get stuck inside of their intestines, and then anything else they eat becomes impacted behind it. So we refer to this as an impaction, and that's what you're looking at right up here in this X-ray photo. Impactions can cause a lot of different problems for sea turtles, but one of the big problems that comes along with an impaction is intestinal gas. Well, sea turtles are neutrally buoyant animals, so if they get gas trapped in their intestines, it changes that buoyancy. So they get stuck floating on the surface of the water. Think of it like putting on a life jacket. If you tried to dive under the water with a life jacket on, the buoyancy of it will bring you right back up to the surface. A turtle that's stuck on the surface of the water can't get to its food sources and is a lot more likely to be hit by a boat or attacked by a predator. Now, what we do to help out the sea turtles with impactions and intestinal gas is first you need to move the impaction through their system. A couple of ways we can do that. One is by feeding these turtles lactulose or vegetable oil. Basically, we are lubing them up on the inside, help things kind of start to move through their system. We've also found benefits though in Metamucil to help push those impactions through, and Beano. Beano treats intestinal gas in humans, and it does the same thing for sea turtles. So once these turtles move those impactions through their system and they get rid of all that intestinal gas, then we're able to release them. But you all can see here just in this photo, all of these items came from one loggerhead sea turtle. All of that stuff impacted inside of one poor little turtle. Now, one of the other things you'll be seeing today are turtles that are here due to a virus. This is called the fibropapillomavirus. That's what causes the tumors that you're looking at there to grow on the sea turtles. Now, the fibropapillomavirus is a naturally occurring virus. Typically, the immune systems of the sea turtles are strong enough that their bodies can actually defend against this virus, so they can fight it off. But what we're seeing going on is due to the increase of pollution into our oceans, not just trash. There's lots of different types of pollutants, like chemical runoff from the land, pesticides, fertilizers that are used. There's actually a very, very long list that I don't have time to get into today. But it's the increase of those pollutants in our ocean that is beginning to affect the immune system of the sea turtle. So all that pollution is weakening their immune systems, breaking it down, and a sea turtle that has a compromised immune system no longer has a defense against this virus. So every year we're just seeing more and more sea turtles coming in here with these fibropapilloma tumors. Now, to help out the turtles with the fibropapillomavirus, first we need to remove these tumors. Tumors don't stop growing, they just keep getting bigger and bigger. You see they can cover their flippers so they can't swim. They grow on their faces, they'll cover their eyes so the little turtles can't see. So we start by putting them into surgery where we can surgically remove the tumors. We, though, are only able to remove external tumors. Unfortunately, if a turtle's grown any of these tumors on the inside, there's nothing that we can do to help them. But if the tumors have only grown externally, we get the tumors off of them. And a big part of what happens is getting these turtles healthy. As they get healthy, their bodies get stronger. They can develop an antibody against the virus. When they have an antibody against this virus, they won't get sick from it again. Kind of like chicken pox for us, right? Usually once you've had that, you never worry about getting it again, because once you've had the virus, your body will create an antibody against it. But not everybody who gets chicken pox ends up with the antibody against that virus, and that neither do the